Hi, Frank the pilot here with a sort of similar Sully Sullenberger story, Miracle on the Hudson Flight 1549, and how I got a non-military call sign, Seagull. A bird strike is a collision between a bird and an aircraft in flight, on takeoff, on landing. Bird strikes can cause huge damage and even catastrophic failures to the plane's engines. Sully Sullenberger lost both his operating engines to a flock of birds and miraculously landed the plane safely. So my second missed approach was at Craig Field in Jacksonville, Florida. I was executing a runway 32 VOR non-precision approach in bad weather, fog again. I descended to 400 feet to the Mitch approach point, at which I had to make a decision. Could I see the runway, and was I in a position to make a safe landing? That day, I could see the runway, but I was 400 feet high on the top at the end of the runway. Therefore, I was not in a position to make a safe landing on the 4,000-foot runway. Even though I could see the runway, I was too high. And if I attempted to land, I would probably run off the end of the runway. And I learned that lesson during that Banato operation, when I thought I could land just on 2,000 feet of runway and I almost ran into the woods. Safety first. It's better to tell a bad, embarrassing story than to die and not be able to tell a story at all. I made a pilot and command decision. I performed a go-around, my second go-around ever. Remember the first one was in Atlanta? I executed a missed approach procedure and I attempted a second approach. On that second approach, I saw the runway and I was in a good position to continue to land. But there was one problem. Around 20 feet above the ground, out of the corner of my right eye, I spotted a flock of seagulls standing in a V formation on the ground. All of a sudden, the head seagull, followed by the rest of the flock, lifted up in unison and turned towards me, right smack in front of my flight path. About 10 feet above the runway, while initiating the landing flare, the flock of birds slammed like torpedoes into my innocent airplane. Bird strike, my first bird strike. If those birds decided to ram me at 20 feet or higher, it's possible the plane would have stalled and I would have crashed. After I taxied to a full stop, the aircraft mechanic spent hours cleaning seagull remnants off the airplane. And the control tower closed the runway for over an hour to remove bird parts from the runway asphalt. Because of this incident, the other Midnight Express pilots of my peer group issued me the aviator call sign, Seagull. Yeah, nice guys. There are better ways to get yourself an aviation call sign. Soon after, the Federal Aviation Administration issued and published this warning for Craig Field in Jacksonville. Birds, periodically, on or near the airport, increasing activity during inclement weather, and wildlife on in the vicinity of the airport. These pilot advisories still exist today for Craig Field in Jacksonville. I love birds, but I do not like being around birds when I fly because a bird strike could be deadly. Sully, the great pilot, was fortunate to survive his bird strike encounter during the takeoff flight phase. I was fortunate that my bird strike encounter at only 10 feet above the ground during the land and flare flight stage. Birds are nice, but not around airplanes or airports. There's always a risk when flying. Like me and subscribe to my channel for more pilot stories. And enjoy the day, if not the night.